She texted, "I told my parents you earned $200,000. Don't correct them at dinner." I made $55,000 as a social worker. At dinner, I smiled and told her parents exactly what I did and earned. Her father leaned forward and said, "I respect that more than any salary." Her mother's face when she realized her plan had completely backfired. Original post. I, 29 male, am a social worker. I work with kids in the foster care system. I make $55,200 a year before taxes, which in this economy means I drive a 2017 Civic, live in a decent one-bedroom, and my idea of a splurge is getting the large popcorn at the movies instead of the medium. I'm not rich. I'm not pretending to be. I picked this career because when I was 11, my little brother spent 8 months in foster care after our mom had her breakdown, and the social worker assigned to his case was the only adult who made him feel like he mattered. I want to be that person for other kids. That's it. That's the whole origin story. No cape, no trust fund. My girlfriend, well, she was my girlfriend as of about 6 days ago, and I had been together for 14 months. Met at a friend's birthday party. She's 27, works in pharmaceutical sales, makes probably double what I make. Never bothered me. She never seemed bothered by it either. Or so I thought. Here's the thing about her family. Her parents are well off. Dad is a retired orthopedic surgeon. Mom never worked. And I don't say that with judgment. I say it because it's relevant to how she sees the world. They live in one of those neighborhoods where every house has a 3-car garage and the landscaping costs more annually than my rent. Her older sister married a guy in finance. Her younger brother is in law school. I'm the only person at their family gatherings who has ever used the phrase Medicaid reimbursement rate in casual conversation. I'd met her parents twice before. Quick meet and greets. Coffee once, a lunch another time. Both times, her mom was polite in that way where you can tell someone is cataloging everything about you, what you're wearing, what car you drove up in, what you ordered. Her dad was actually cool, quiet, asked me what I did, seemed genuinely interested when I talked about my caseload. I liked him. So about 3 weeks ago, my girlfriend tells me her parents want to have a proper dinner. At their house. Saturday evening. She said it like it was a job interview, which I guess in her family, it kind of was. I said sure. No problem. I could do dinner. Then, Thursday afternoon, 2 days before the dinner, I get a text from her that made me reread it 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. "Hey, so my mom's been asking about you, and I might have told her you work in healthcare administration and make around $200,000. Just don't correct them at dinner, okay? I'll explain later. Love you." I stared at that text for a solid 5 minutes. She didn't call. Didn't bring it up on the phone that night when we talked. Just dropped that bomb via iMessage and moved on like she told me to pick up milk. I texted back, "We need to talk about this." Her response, "It's not a big deal. Just go with it." My mom was being weird about stuff, and I just told her what she wanted to hear. "It'll be fine." "It will not be fine. You told your parents I make almost 4 times what I actually make. You told them I work in a completely different field. You fabricated a career and salary for me like I'm a character in a movie you're pitching to investors." I didn't sleep great Thursday night. Friday, I was distracted at work, which is not ideal when your job involves making decisions about children's safety. I called her Friday evening and tried to have a real conversation about it. "Why did you tell them that?" "Because my mom was comparing you to my sister's husband, and I didn't want to deal with it." "So you lied." I exaggerated. There's a difference. $55,000 to $200,000 is not an exaggeration. That's fiction. Can you just do this one thing for me? One dinner. Just smile and nod, and I'll correct it later. You won't correct it later. I will. She wouldn't. We both knew she wouldn't. This wasn't a one-dinner lie. This was a foundation for every interaction going forward. Every holiday, every family event, every casual "so how's work" question, I'd be maintaining a lie I didn't agree to about a career I don't have, for a salary I don't earn. Saturday came. I put on a nice button-down, my good jeans, drove to her parents' house. My girlfriend met me in the driveway. She looked great. She also looked nervous. "Just remember, I know what you told them." "Okay, so I'm not lying to your parents." Her face did this thing, somewhere between panic and fury, but we were already at the front door, and her mom was opening it with a big smile and a glass of wine in her hand, so she couldn't exactly have a meltdown on the porch. Dinner was in their formal dining room. And look, I'm not going to pretend I wasn't intimidated. The table was set like a magazine shoot. There were cloth napkins folded into little shapes, multiple forks, a centerpiece that probably cost more than my couch. Her dad was at the head of the table, her mom across from me, my girlfriend next to me, gripping my knee under the table so hard I thought she was trying to perform acupuncture. The small talk lasted about 20 minutes. Weather, sports, her mom's new kitchen renovation. Then her mom turned to me with that smile, the one that's really an interrogation lamp, and said, "So, my daughter tells me you're doing really well for yourself. Healthcare administration. That must be fascinating work." I took a sip of water. My girlfriend's hand on my knee went from grip to full claw. "Actually, I'm a social worker. I work in the foster care system, specifically with kids who've been removed from their homes. I coordinate placements, do case management, show up in court when needed. And I make about $55,000 a year." Dead. Silence. My girlfriend's hand fell off my knee like it had been electrocuted. Her mom's smile didn't disappear, it froze. Like someone had hit pause on her face. She looked at my girlfriend. My girlfriend was staring at her plate like the mashed potatoes contained the meaning of life. And then her dad leaned forward. "You work with foster kids?" "Yes, sir." "How'd you end up doing that?" So I told him about my brother, about the social worker who checked on him every week for 8 months, about choosing the career knowing full well what it paid, about a kid on my caseload right now who just got placed with a family after 3 years in the system, and how I drove him there myself because he was scared and didn't want to go in alone. Her dad put down his fork, looked at me, and said, "I respect that more than any salary. I spent 30 years fixing knees and shoulders. You're fixing lives. That's real work." Her mom's face. Y'all, I wish I could describe it properly. It was like watching someone try to recalculate a GPS route in real time when the road they expected just doesn't exist. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, and finally said, "Well, that's very noble." Noble, said the way you might say interesting about a meal you hate. My girlfriend didn't say a word for the rest of dinner. Not one word. Her dad and I talked for another 45 minutes. He asked me real questions, what the system gets wrong, what it gets right, what I'd change if I could. He told me about doing pro bono surgical consultations at a free clinic when he was younger, and how it was the most meaningful work he'd ever done. He was genuinely engaged. Her mom excused herself to the kitchen twice, came back both times with a tighter smile. After dinner, my girlfriend walked me to my car and absolutely lost it. "I can't believe you did that." "Did what?" "Told the truth. You humiliated me in front of my parents." "No, you humiliated yourself by lying. I just didn't help you maintain it. Do you know what my mom is going to say to me now?" "That's between you and your mom. You should have thought about that before you told them I make $200,000. You could have just gone along with it for one night. And then what? Lie forever? Show up to Thanksgiving pretending to be a hospital executive? Buy a car I can't afford so the driveway looks right?" She didn't have an answer for that. She just stared at me like I was the problem. Like the guy who told the truth was the villain, and the woman who fabricated an entire career for her boyfriend was the victim. I drove home. I didn't hear from her until the next morning. The text said, "I think we need to take a break." I replied, "I think we need to break up." She didn't respond for 3 hours. Then, "Are you serious right now?" "Yeah, I'm not going to be with someone who's ashamed of what I do." And that, Reddit, was 6 days ago. There's been some developments since then, and they're wild, so I'll update soon. But I just needed to get the initial story out because it's been eating at me, and the only person I've told so far is my buddy from college, and he said, direct quote, "Bro, post this immediately." Update 1, 8 days later. Okay, y'all were right. It got worse. First, thank you to every single person who commented, especially the fellow social workers who said they felt this in their bones. And to the person who said the dad is the real MVP of this story. Just wait. So after the breakup text exchange, I expected silence. That's how my breakups have always gone. You say it's over, you do the awkward stuff exchange, You mute each other on social media. You move on. Clean. Simple. My ex does not do clean and simple. Day 1 after the breakup. Nothing. Fine. Day 2, she sent me a long text. And I mean long, like I had to scroll, about how I publicly shamed her in front of her family and how I chose my ego over our relationship. She said I was punishing her for trying to protect me from her mother's judgment. Protect me. She was protecting me by lying about my entire career and tripling my salary. That's not protection. That's witness relocation without my consent. I didn't respond. I've learned that engaging with someone who thinks they're the victim of their own lie is like trying to teach a cat to fetch. Technically possible, but exhausting and ultimately pointless. Day 3 is where it gets interesting. Her sister called me. Now, I met her sister maybe 4 times. She was always fine, polite, a little distant, clearly operating on the assumption that everyone outside her tax bracket was a supporting character in her life. Her husband is one of those guys who introduces himself by his job title. You know the type. She called me at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. I picked up because I thought it might be about returning my girlfriend stuff that was at my apartment. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you about what happened at dinner. Okay, I think you really hurt my sister. Your sister told your parents I make $200,000 and work in healthcare administration. I make $55,000 and I'm a social worker. Right, and I understand that was frustrating for you, but you have to understand where she was coming from. My mom is a lot. She puts pressure on all of us about who we're with. My sister was just trying to make things easier. Easier for who? Pause. For everyone, including me, because nobody asked me if I wanted to be a fictional character at dinner. She sounded like I was being difficult. Look, I get it. You're principled. That's great. But sometimes in families, you just play the game. My husband doesn't love every dinner in my parents' house either, but he understands how it works. Your husband makes enough money that he doesn't need to be lied about. That landed. I could hear it land. She got quiet for a second, then said, I was trying to help, but fine. I can see you've made up your mind. I have. Thanks for calling. That was that. Or so I thought. Day 5. This is the one that really set me off. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Picked up because sometimes I get calls from agencies or courts about my cases. It was my ex's mother. I have no idea how she got my number. My ex must have given it to her. Let that sink in. My ex gave her mother, the woman whose approval she was lying for, my phone number to call me after we broke up. Her mother was polite, eerily polite, like a snake wearing a cardigan. I just wanted to reach out because I think there's been a misunderstanding. My daughter cares about you very much, and I think Saturday night was just a case of nerves and miscommunication. Ma'am, your daughter told you I earn 4 times what I actually earn and work in a completely different field. Well, she said she may have embellished a little. A little is saying I make $65,000 instead of $55,000. She told you $200,000. And I think what matters is that you clearly have a good work ethic and a kind heart. And those things are more important than a number. She was doing the thing. The thing where you pretend the lie doesn't matter so that the conversation can move past it and back to the outcome you wanted. I recognized it because I see parents do this in court all the time. Minimize the problem, redirect to emotion, maintain control. I appreciate you calling, but your daughter and I broke up. I wish her well. I just think if you two could sit down and talk. We did talk. And then she told me I humiliated her by being honest. That's not something I can work with. You know, when my husband and I were young, we had disagreements too. Marriage is about compromise. We weren't married. And I don't think honesty is something you compromise on. She went quiet. Then, and this is the part that made my blood go cold, I just hope this isn't about money. My daughter has a lot to offer, and I'd hate to think you're the type of man who's insecure about a woman earning more than him. Flipped. She flipped the entire script. Suddenly, I'm not the guy who got lied about. I'm the insecure man who can't handle a successful woman. Never mind that I never once had an issue with my ex earning more than me. Never mind that SHE was the one who was ashamed of MY's salary. Her mother just rewrote the whole narrative in real time and cast me as the fragile ego villain. Ma'am, I'm going to hang up now. Please don't call me again. I hung up, blocked the number, and then, day 6, I'm at work. I get a call from my supervisor. She asked me to come to her office. I'm thinking it's about a case. It's not about a case. Someone called the office asking about your salary and job title. I sat there for a second processing that. What? A woman called our front desk, said she was verifying employment information. She asked how much you make and what your exact title is. Our admin told her we don't release that information and asked who was calling. She hung up. I knew exactly who it was. I couldn't prove it, but I knew. My ex's mother called my workplace. She called my job to verify whether I was telling the truth. At dinner, because even after everything, she still thought there was a chance I was the liar. Or, and this is the theory my buddy has, she was trying to build some kind of case that I had misrepresented my income. For what purpose, I don't know. But the entitlement it takes to call someone's employer to check their salary because your daughter's lie got exposed at dinner, that's a special kind of unhinged. My supervisor was cool about it. She's been in social work for 20 years and has seen everything. She just said, "Do I need to know anything about what's going on in your personal life?" I gave her the short version. She said, "If they call again, we're documenting it." That night I called my ex. First time I'd initiated contact since the breakup. She picked up on the second ring, sounding hopeful. "Hey, did your mother call my workplace to verify my salary?" Dead silence. Then what? "No. Why would she?" "Someone called my office today, asking what I make and what my job title is. Your mom called me 2 days ago, questioning whether I was insecure about money." I'm putting 2 and 2 together. That's insane. My mom wouldn't do that. Your mom called me on a number she shouldn't have had. Your mom tried to convince me the lie didn't matter. Your mom accused me of being insecure. And now someone calling my employer. So either it's your mom, or you have 2 problems instead of 1. She started doing the thing. The defensive spiral where every sentence starts with you're being paranoid, you're being unfair, you're being dramatic. I'm being done. If anyone contacts my workplace again, I'm involving an attorney. Pass that along however you need to. I hung up, and I meant every word. But here's the part that actually affected me. That night, sitting in my apartment, I thought about something. 14 months. I was with this woman for 14 months. I met her family. I sat at their table. I was building something, or I thought I was. And the whole time, she was constructing this other version of me to show her parents. A richer me, a more impressive me, the me she wished I was. And that's the part that actually hurt. Not the lie. The fact that who I actually am wasn't good enough. I had a session with one of my foster kids the next day, a 14-year-old who's been bounced around since he was 6. He asked me why I looked tired. I said I'd had a rough week. He said, "Yeah, me too. Want to talk about it?" And this kid who has been through more than most adults, was trying to check on me. I told him I was fine, but I went to my car after and sat there for a minute. Because a 14-year-old in the system showed me more empathy in 10 seconds than my ex showed me in 14 months. More to come. The dad got involved. And that part is something else. Update 2, 12 days later. Final update. And honestly, this one's for her dad, because that man did something I didn't see coming. So after the workplace call incident, I went full no contact. Blocked my ex on everything. Blocked her sister. Already had her mom blocked. Changed my number because I realized the mom clearly had no boundaries and I didn't want to play whack-a-mole with unknown numbers forever. My buddy helped me box up everything my ex had left at my apartment. Wasn't much: a hair straightener, some clothes, a book she never finished, a pair of running shoes. I left the box on her apartment building's front desk with her name on it. Clean. No note. Done. I figured that was the end. New number. Everything blocked. Stuff returned. Story over. Then, 11 days after the dinner, a full week and a half after the breakup, I got an email. To my work email. From her father. I almost deleted it. I figured it was another angle, another play, another member of this family trying to convince me that being lied about was actually a compliment if I looked at it from the right angle. But something made me open it. Maybe because the subject line was just, "An apology you deserve." It was long, but the important parts went like this. He said he found out about everything. Not just the salary lie. Everything. The text his daughter sent me before dinner. The sister calling me. His wife calling me. His wife calling my workplace. He said his daughter had come to their house crying, and his wife had been spinning a version of events that didn't sit right with him. So he sat his daughter down alone and asked her to tell him the truth. The whole truth. No spin. And she did. Apparently, she broke down and told him everything. The $200,000 lie, the text telling me to play along, the fact that I told the truth at dinner, and that she broke up with me because I embarrassed her. He said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't want to put his exact words out here, that he was ashamed of his wife's behavior, and that calling my workplace was a line he didn't know his family was capable of crossing. He said he'd spoken to his wife and told her that what she did was harassment, and that if it continued, he'd be the one calling an attorney on my behalf. Then he wrote something that I've read probably 30 times now. He said that when I told the truth at dinner, it was the first time in years someone had been honest at that table. He said his family had spent so long performing for each other, the right careers, the right salaries, the right neighborhoods, that they'd forgotten what it looked like when someone just said who they were without apology. He said he spent 30 years in medicine, and the people he respected most weren't the ones with the biggest practices. They were the ones who showed up for the patients nobody else wanted to see. He said social workers were those people. And he said he was sorry. Not sorry this happened. Not sorry you felt that way. Sorry. Period. The real one. I sat at my desk and read that email 3 times, and I'm not going to lie, my eyes weren't dry by the third read. I wrote him back, kept it short, thanked him for the honesty, told him I held no ill will toward him, told him his daughter was a good person who was under a lot of pressure from expectations that weren't fair, and that I hoped she'd find someone who made her happy. I meant it. I also told him that I needed his family to respect my space going forward, and he said he understood completely. Now, here's where the consequences really hit. My ex's mom did not take her husband's intervention well. At all. According to what I pieced together from mutual acquaintances, because I was not in contact with any of these people directly, the fallout inside that family was significant. Her father apparently told his wife that she had turned their family into a casting agency for sons-in-law, and that he was done watching his daughters choose men like they were filling a position. He said the dinner was the first time he'd enjoyed a conversation in his own home in years, because of me, and his wife's reaction was to try to destroy it. Her mom's response, from what I heard, she told him he was being dramatic and that every mother wants the best for her daughters. He told her that the best should include a man who tells the truth at a table full of people who don't. Their marriage didn't implode or anything. I'm not going to pretend this ended with a dramatic divorce. But from what I gathered, something shifted. Her dad started pushing back on things he'd apparently been letting slide for years. The dynamic changed, and my ex's mom lost the one thing she'd always had in that household, the final word. As for my ex, she texted my old number about a week after the email, before I changed it. My buddy, who I'd told the whole story to, was with me when the text came through before I switched. She wasn't apologizing. She was asking if I'd responded to her dad's email and whether I was going to make things worse. Make things worse. Her dad apologized to me, and she was worried I was going to make things worse. She still, even after everything, saw me as the problem. I was the variable that disrupted the equation. If I had just played along, lied at dinner, been the $200,000 healthcare administrator, none of this would have happened. In her mind, I broke the system. I didn't. The system was already broken. I just refused to be part of it. I never responded. Changed my number the next day. Here's where I'm at now. I'm fine. Not great, not terrible. Fine. The breakup stings in that dull, background way where you don't think about it all day, but then you're making dinner for one, and you remember someone used to be sitting on your counter stealing shredded cheese while you cooked. Those moments hit. They'll stop eventually. Work is work. My caseload is heavy. It's always heavy. But last week, the 14-year-old I mentioned in my last update got a placement with a family that actually wants him. Not a temporary thing. They want to adopt. I drove him there myself. He was quiet the whole ride, which is unusual for him because this kid normally talks more than a podcast. When we got there, he looked at the house and said, "This one has a porch." I said, "Yeah, it does." He said, "I always wanted a porch." He walked up the steps, and the foster mom was standing in the doorway, and she said, "Welcome home." And he turned around and looked at me, and I gave him a thumbs up, and he went inside. That's why I do this. That's the $55,200. That's the whole thing. My ex wanted me to be ashamed of it. Her mom wanted to verify it, like it was a fraud claim. Her sister wanted me to play the game and pretend it didn't matter. Her dad was the only one who got it. I don't know what happens with their family. That's not my business anymore. I know her dad read my email. I know he sent one back that just said, "Take care of yourself. The work you do matters. Don't let anyone make you forget that." I printed that email. It's in my desk drawer at work. Not framed, not displayed, just there. For the days when the caseload is too heavy and the pay is too low, and I wonder if I made the right call choosing this career. Some days the answer is yes. Some days it's I think so. But it's never no. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Thanks for reminding me I wasn't crazy. I'm done updating this one. Got a stack of case files to get through, and a kid who needs a new school enrollment processed by Friday. Take care of each other, even when it doesn't pay well.